Welcome to another edition of Inside Guyana. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a familiar personality, I should say, on this program with us in the studio today. He is no other than the Honorable Cheddi Jegan. So please help me on behalf of our cameraman, Mr. Ravi, and our producer, Prakash, to welcome to the studio today Dr. Cheddi Jegan. Sir, welcome once again to the program.
Thank you for having me in your program again.
Well, we are not going to ask you to introduce yourself because I'm sure our viewers know you by now. And they have probably seen you on YouTube and Facebook and in the news that you have campaigned with the coalition during the last elections, which was like just over 2 months ago. And now that the party that you supported, the coalition, the APNU plus the AFC coalition, is in government. So you're not in opposition anymore, you're not campaigning anymore. People are going to ask different questions. So today on our program Inside Guyana, sir, I would like you to just bear with me if these questions are too blunt. But the questions must be different from what we used to ask during the campaign period. We are now in government. You are now in government, the party that you supported. So let us start off with what's going on right now. During the campaign, they had a minimum list of things that they said they're going to achieve in the first 100 days. That was a campaign promise by, I don't want to say you, but your team. How much of that has been achieved today? Today is almost like 63 days. 63 days you're in power. What have you achieved so far? And how do you intend to achieve in the other 33 days left, or the 37 days left, before the 100 days in your program?
Well, first of all, in a relay race, the last relay is usually the fastest. So we still got some time to go. We got another 30 days. And you have to remember, as I'm stating in a letter that I'm putting together right now to the press, because, the campaign never stopped for me. I don't have any position. I don't have any official position in the government. I'm supportive of the coalition, as I've been. And to me, I'm still in the campaign trail in a lot of ways, because it's a different campaign now. It's a campaign to block off and thwart off, push off the lies and slander that the former government officials are pulling on people. The first is we stole the election, we rigged the election. So all these things are blanketing anything you're trying to do, because they constantly throw in a wet blanket over you all the time. Roy getting up and talking about the crime situation when he was the minister for 9 years and created the whole crime problem we got today of his ineptitude and lack of diligence as the Home Affairs Minister. Now Mr. Kamraj is the minister and he's trying to do what he could do, but come on, it's 30 days, it's 60 days. And we have that problem we face in an increase in crime. We had the flooding, which, let's go back now, the flooding that occurred here, they had a great flood in 2005. And since then, I live in Guyana. I could tell you, I live in Charlotte Street, where 5 new buildings have gone up on my block, and flooding has gone up. I don't know if it's a contributory, because you got to remember, people have been building buildings, dropping stone and cement in front, and sand and going down the drainage, blocking up. So there's total mayhem that this government is trying to sort out. Now, coming to the promises that we made campaigning, and they're important that we keep them. I support that. However, people have to understand that there have been blockages in the path to achieving that within 90 days. For example, the Venezuelan situation. Here is ExxonMobil finding 1.5 billion barrels of oil for us. That's for us. And they're now claiming all that as theirs. We had to go there and work to thwart that. Luckily for us, in the long run, Mr. Obama is behind us, and the American government will be behind us. So, but still you got to do the hard work. The American government ain't going to protect you unless you try to protect yourself. Luckily, we had the full support and a beautiful picture to go with it of Miss Kamala Bissessar and our President Granger together, and she pledged full support. So you have to understand that these imponderables was never seen when we were making the promises we made. People have to be realistic, you know. So you trying to build a castle on the sand, and the foundation is being washed by people like the former government getting up on Harlem a day, they get robbed, criticizing everything you're trying to do, blaming everything on you when you've been in government for 30 days. Come on. So people have to understand these things, and I have no loss of confidence that our government in place now will do a great job for the Guyanese people. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever about it, because I'm a straight-up guy. And if I had any doubts right now, I'd be voicing them, believe me. Yes, I have a few doubts, everybody does. But basically, when I talk to the individuals, I see purpose and a vision behind them. Like, I'll give you an example. Mr. Patterson, who is the Minister of Public Works. I've talked to Robeson Ben, and I've talked to Patterson, and I could tell you, it's like night and day. Robeson Ben ain't know nothing, as far as I'm concerned. It was a waste of time, sitting there all them years doing nothing much. Look at the the East Bank Highway, 5 years in the making. You know, so all the problems that was there, we got to try and sort out. The corruption, the thieving, the squandermania. So, you know, people got to be patient. If they don't do it, put it this way then, the bottom line is, I'm not here trying to make excuses, but I'm painting a reality to you, right? And if it didn't come in 90 days, we're going to achieve it, don't worry. It can be before the end of this year, I'll tell you that.
I like how you're using the word we now. At the beginning of the interview, you didn't say we.
Right.
Anyway.
I use the word we because I'm committed to this coalition, and I have no commitment anywhere else. I want the public to understand that. I grew up in the PEP, but the PEP has proven itself worthless of my father's name, and I can't associate myself with them. I associate with the new government, and you know where I stand. And I'm here to promote them on your show.
So it's likely that you're going to have a Jegan now in the opposition to the PPP.
To do?
To the PPP.
Well, I'm not in Parliament. They have a Jegan in
likely,
Parliament.
I said likely.
Yeah. Well, I'm committed to this government, and anything that I could do to help, I will. You know, to keep them there and to make sure that the PPP, until they understand coalition politics and shared governance, they have to be kept out of government.
But you have I think, is it an uncle or is it a cousin?
A cousin.
On the other side.
Yeah, named Clive Jegan.
So you're going to fight with your cousin?
Well, politics, in politics, cousin and brother or sister don't matter. You fight who you got to fight.
Okay.
That's what politics is.
Just in your last sentence there, or paragraph, you mentioned a comparison between Robeson Ben and Mr. Patterson.
Yeah.
The current Minister of Works and the former Minister
Yes.
of Works. And you didn't say why you made that comparison night and day.
Oh, because...
So what did Patterson do to make you feel so confident?
Well, the conversation I had with him, I'm saying as an educated person, the conversation I've had with Robeson.
Oh, just
Ben,
conversation.
And the conversation,
not his actual work.
No, well, he hasn't had a chance to do actual work. But from what I see and from talking to him, he seems very organized. He seems very, you know, he's paying attention to the problems facing Guyana, the flood in particular. Whereas when you talk to Robeson Ben before, I remember talking to him. Robeson Ben, and his actions. You know, we needed better action than that. And I know Mr. Patterson. The point I'm trying to make then is that I have full confidence in these people like Mr. Patterson to do a much better job than Robeson Ben.
Do you think he's more professional?
Yes, more professional and more determined and more, I think, more honest in his approach.
So he's not going to be corrupt?
No, well, here, listen. I could not swear for anybody, any human being, only for the good Lord. And I could just tell you that if he proves to be corrupt, which I don't think he will, I'll be the first to speak up about it, to tell you the truth. Because I'm not for corruption. I'm against corruption 100%.
That's right. That's
Right? 100%.
That's
Right?
it.
We can't tolerate corruption. Corruption is what wrecks a country, as we saw before.
So
Corruption is what wrecked Guyana under the PPP government. I don't care what anybody say. That is what it was. It was a majoritarian government. They had no civil union there. They had no coalition process. It was a PPP hierarchy that controls that party that caused the corruption in that country. And it's widespread. And we, the new government, mean to wipe it out and uphold.
But so
that
far,
thing.
Mr. Joey Jegan, Dr. Cheddi Jegan, so far we haven't seen anyone being charged for any kind of corruption or any
Right.
kind of illegal activity. So what are you talking about?
Well,
You're only talking.
right,
This is
right,
60
right.
days, and you during the campaign you said they're corrupt. They're going to go to jail them. I
No,
heard.
I never said that.
No, Mr. Ramjatan
Yeah, I never
said
said
we're going to
that.
jail them.
Yeah, I
People,
never
the
said that.
sentiments is that, jail if they're corrupt. And even the PPP themselves are saying, if we are corrupt, bring the evidence,
Right.
jail us. They're asking you to jail them, but you can't jail them. What's going on?
Well, I really am not aware of what's going on with that, but I would assume that they're doing investigations, and if there's evidence to jail anybody, it'll be presented.
Oh, you mean it's taking some time?
Yeah, I think it takes time. It ain't gonna happen overnight. To
Okay.
build a good case. I mean, for example, you look at shows in America of people tracking on white-collar crime. It ain't easy. It takes years to get them in front of a judge. Look at all the shows in America. I look at one called American Greed. American Greed. You ever look at that?
No, I
There's
didn't.
a show, and they show Americans in white-collar crime with greed. And they show something it takes 3-4 years to gather all the evidence. It ain't easy. These people are not stupid. The guys who robbed the treasury before, who did what they had to do, they hid their money in different things. They ain't stupid. These are not fools we're dealing with. So, it takes time to track down whoever is whoever. But in the meantime, at least, they're sending people home and getting them out of the system.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
I read in the papers
Right.
recently.
Look at the Ministry of Health. Mr. Cardigan, the private permanent secretary, was just sent home. So why was he sent home? Got to be a reason. So maybe you can't prove something, but or you can't get all the evidence right away, but you know something, so it isn't that the government isn't doing anything, as people might be thinking. They're doing something. A lot of people have gone home, but you got to be fair. Look at Mr. Ramatar's son. They didn't just dismiss him. They brought him in. They went through everything, and now he's gone home. 'Cause he probably, I don't know the details, but from what I understand, he can't account for $31 million that was lost in the fiber optic cable. So he's gone. So didn't the government doing nothing? So let's clear that one up.
So you mean he's gone and he will still be going somewhere else?
Well, I don't know where he's gone. And I don't know if, not because somebody has left, they've been put on leave and sent home, means criminal prosecutions can't follow. You understand? But at least they're out the system. So, when people think that the government is doing nothing, I don't agree with it. I think they're doing. And in terms of cleanup, around the city, like at Ogle, a friend of mine was telling me a big, long trench at Ogle has been cleaned up real nice. It hadn't been cleaned for 20 years.
Yeah, I see
That's
the
a
clean
long
up. I
time.
see the clean up Georgetown.
Right.
a lot.
So it takes time, just like the criminals, everybody crying and complaining, Mr. Roy, this and that. And then 2 days ago, they raided and caught a whole bunch of nefarious criminals.
Yes, incorrect.
Shot, right. So, when, people, you got to give these people, our ministers, some time to get acclimatized, to do their job.
I read in today's papers that they caught, at least they got one of the guys or one of the suspects in the Crum Ewing
Right.
death,
Okay.
murder.
Well, that's
And-
because, one of the reasons is because people might know, but the Minister Ramdajan brought in a younger crime chief. There's a new crime chief. So, the point I'm trying to make is that everybody likes to criticize, especially those who lost power. They're quick to criticize, but when you try to criticize them, they don't want to hear nothing with it. And that's why they're out of power, because they don't want to hear the criticisms. So criticism is good, and people must hear. So I agree with, people ask questions, but at the same time, there are also answers, and they're mitigating circumstances why somebody mightn't get something done within a certain period. And people have to, it's not that the intent is no longer there. If the intent was no longer there to reduce the Burbage Bridge toll or to reduce the VAT, I can understand that. But nobody has said that. I think there's still intent, but they're looking at the whole picture. You gotta remember now the budget hasn't been passed. Right?
That's important.
So a lot of factors have
Should we
happened.
table this week?
Yeah. And then, you know, people might be underestimating the Venezuelan thing. That was a big threat. And the government had to pay a lot of attention to that. So, you know, we have to understand these things and give them some breathing space to get things done. It doesn't mean they don't want to do it.
So, Dr. Cheddi Jegan, you would know that in order to execute any program successfully, developmental programs especially, you must have the resources. How do you see Guyana acquiring the resources and using those resources to benefit the treasury of Guyana, so that we can gain, we can have the monies that we need in order to carry out those developmental projects?
Yeah, well, I as I said before, I entered politics with three things in my mind. Three things. Number one, of course, racial unity and progress in Guyana through coalition politics. Number two, foreign investment and trade. Very critical to Guyana's economy, right? And foreign investment and trade of the right type. We don't want carpetbaggers into our country coming to rip us off and give us nothing and take everything out. We don't want that. Minister Greenidge did a speech in Islamabad, Pakistan in the 80s. And I found it in my father's study when he was the president. I presented to him. I said, Dad, read this. Because it was a great speech where he talked about these things and tried to quantify and qualify what foreign investment and trade should look like as it comes into Guyana. We need to clarify those things. We need to bring down the time taken to give people answers to their investments. Like in Costa Rica, 48 hours you get an answer. In India, it used to be 3 years, now it's 2 weeks. And they have moved forward. So things like that we have to do to liberalize our trade policies, give incentives for foreign investors to come in. That's what can create wealth for Guyana. I feel so. And we need to bring in European. Look, I went to France about 2 years ago. And I was just moving around in the shop, in the commercial area, just checking out as you move around as a tourist, checking, going drugstore. And France produces a whole lot of stuff. Why aren't we trading with France? Our products too need to be exported. And we need to specialize in certain things to create wealth, right? And the third thing that I believe in is to strengthen our village system back to being strong and viable. And I feel that that is the way forward. Of course, the end game of it all is to create self-sufficiency in our country. That's what Mahatma talked about overall. Mahatma said, you are not a nation until you create self-sufficiency.
But we have self-sufficiency.
No, not
we
really.
We have our own rice, we have our own sugar, we have our own fish, we have our own vegetables and fruits.
Yeah, but we ain't got the manufacturing part of it.
Well, now something is missing there.
Right. See, so we need to bring that in. My father always talked about that, but he came from a socialist standpoint, which you know about, where you all talk about industrialization.
Y'all.
All right. Okay, the socialists concentrate on industrialization. I really, I'm suspicious of that in some ways. I believe manufacturing, meaning small scale too, to go down to the people at the bottom so they could earn a living too. Right? So those things I see, and I think the government of the day is seeing those things. I believe Mr. Greenidge and Mr. Jordan understand these things. We have to have, as you know, economic diplomacy abroad to bring business again and exploit our resources for the betterment of our people.
I think you're going to be one of the excellent advisors on economic diplomacy, Dr. Jegan.
Well,
I think
I'm not an economist.
You should leave that
No, I'm a dentist.
that dentistry
dentist.
and come on. And no, you can be versatile in many things, as our viewers can see here. You have that ability and that talent, that understanding, that clarity in explaining all these things in detail. I hope that the current government is watching this.
Yeah, but the current
program.
government believes these things. I feel so, and the diaspora too. We have to get our diaspora involved in investing in Guyana's future. They have money, they have skills.
Yeah, but
We could use them.
one of the things, now that you mention the diaspora, you're coming into my territory
Right.
here, kind of, and yours also. But it's something that has been bothering the people in the diaspora for a long time, and it continues to bother. They expected things to change rapidly, but unfortunately, it's taking place very slowly. I mean, the changes, the change that they voted for, it's not. As fast as people want, but probably there are good reasons for that.
Right.
Now, what I've been hearing in the diaspora, people want to go back. There was this enthusiasm. People were very, very ready and prepared to go back to Guyana because they expected the crime situation to be taken care of right away, because that was one of the first promised by now President Granger. He said, "I am the man to make you safe. The man to make you safe," he said at Narisa Palace, "is standing right in front of you." Maybe that's why he's not coming back to say thank you to the diaspora. Anyway, that's another issue. People have been communicating with the diaspora, with the government, the new government, people from the diaspora communicating with the new government, trying to find ways and means in which they can assist and they can go back there and participate in investing and all of that. But they told me that they're not getting responses. The previous administration, I can tell you, was very good at that, not responding to people's correspondence. And as you would know, in public governance, you must, first of all, be able to acknowledge receipt of a correspondence immediately.
Right, right.
And tell the people, look, we are in receipt of your correspondence or your resume or your letter or whatever, and it's being reviewed and we will get back to you at a later date. That's the first thing. No one so far has received a reply. And they've been telling me this, and it's something that they should look at. You must respond to people's correspondence.
Right, right.
And there must be a record of incoming correspondence and outgoing correspondence in all government agencies, regardless of where.
Right,
and there
right.
must be a system in place to record these correspondence, incoming and outgoing. And emails must be going out 24/7. They must have one person, in my opinion, there who is going to be in charge of reviewing correspondence and responding to correspondence. And it doesn't have to be a top-level person. It can be a secretary.
Right.
Receive correspondence. Thank you very much. We will review and we'll let you know later on.
Yeah, well,
And,
you know.
and the code it. We have a code, the dates, and all of that stuff.
Excuse
So
me.
it's something that should be looked into very
Yeah.
seriously, and it should be immediate because it doesn't cost money.
Right. Well, you know, you got
Email is free. YouTube is free. Facebook is free. Sending it, I mean, so fast nowadays. So it's not like you will send a letter and you will receive a response in another month or two. It's not today.
Right, right.
Today's date, you get it almost within 24 hours or less.
No, well, here, you know, first of all, I just want to apologize to Mr. Granger not coming here, but I just want to say on his behalf, thank you to all the people who supported him and Mr. Moses Nagamutu. And I talked to Moses the other day, and he asked me to convey that when I'm appearing on any show. And that, you know, you have to understand also that, here, I don't want to get it wrong. I'm not here as an official of the government. I'm not here to make excuses to anybody. But you got to remember that the whole foreign service, including the embassies or consulates, wherever, are in transition now. Right, and this Venezuelan thing, again, I come back to that, has slowed that particular phase of the processes, of the government processes, much slower down. Right, so people might be interested in serving, but they're probably sending the correspondence through the present embassies and consul generals, right? In general, I would assume that.
Well, they have email addresses on the website. And
Okay.
If you look at the email...
Oh, I thought they're going through the different embassies and so.
No, they
send direct to the ministry.
Yes, because whether those email addresses are functioning or not, people don't know. And if you review those email addresses, you will find some abnormalities there. I don't want to go into the details now, but you can look at that on the websites. You go to the website of each one in the ministry, and you can see it doesn't fit into a system. you have like, I mean, I don't want to go into details.
Right, right, right.
Ministry of Information,
Yeah.
then you have Min Info, and whatever else. It's all the naming of the websites or the naming of the email addresses alone will tell you there's no system, there's an absolute system.
Well,
So
you know,
that should be systemized.
I've talked to some ministers who are busy at it. I went and see them in the office. That's all I could tell the public. And they are sorting through things and trying to get things a little straighter. You understand that for 23 years there was a form of government. And 23 years is a long time. If you pile up mistake upon mistake, chaos upon chaos, confusion upon confusion, the new man coming in, it's tough. It ain't easy to sort through all of that and answer other people's queries, you understand? So we have to give these people some time. I think so, more time than we might be giving them right now. We have to give them some time. And I feel that they're going to sort things up. These are serious people. These are professionals who are qualified people, and I think they're going to handle it. You just got to give them some time. Once things sorted. I would say, you know, I mean, realistically, we got to give it at least till the end of this year. At least till the end of this year. Come on. It's already August coming, and with all the problems that occurred, the crime wave, the flooding, and the Venezuela issue, and other issues will come up, right? Plus the lack of an opposition that's functioning. You know, people crying out, and there's tension because of that too. That has raised tension. They actually have people who supported the PEP going about feeling they were robbed. You know? Yeah. So that is happening too. There's social tensions too. So people have to understand these things. But I feel that talking to them, I have not lost any of my enthusiasm for the people in this coalition and present in the government. None at all.
Let us go back to
That's my position.
You know, I like economics, and I like economy, and I like money to flow.
Right.
And the sugar industry is very important for Guyana. And we've been hearing here in the diaspora that things are happening and things will happen and all of that. What is going on right now in the sugar industry? I know they've changed the CEO, or they have whatever, you know, told him to go and leave, or I don't know what is going on. Is there any specific plan or program that you know of to move the sugar industry forward and get that Killen sugar factory to function? Are we going to find new markets for our sugar?
Yeah, well, I think from what I'm hearing, that's priority. You know, that is number one priority. And then you got to remember, it isn't just Mr. Raj Singh. Oh, by the way, I heard he's back here running the ACG. The Association of Concerned Guyanese.
I don't know. They chased me out of that, and you know, we had a personal fight with him.
They chased me out before they chased you out. Don't worry.
He pushed his finger in my face, and I called the police on him.
Yeah?
Yes, that's same Raj Singh.
Right, well, Raj Singh,
because he said that I was giving eartime to Ramjatan and Nagamutu. I shouldn't bring them on my television program.
Don't worry,
because I was giving them eartime. He said, "Get out of here."
Well, the people in New York who might want to support the PEP, they should be very careful with Raj Singh. You know, Raj Singh is a very questionable character because he came to Guyana enjoying all the luxuries of life. He's head of Gaisuko, and he goes on a list of the PEP. And then after the election, he announced he don't have no money to pay the sugar workers. What kind of leader is this? And he got a nerve to come back to New York and want to lead anybody.
And what was his salary?
I don't know, but huge amounts. But what I'm saying, you got to remember now, it wasn't only him that was sacked. The whole board was relieved. There's changes all through the system. So sugar is a problem. This, as you said, Skeldon Sugar Factory. I'm sure that that's top priority right now for Minister Jordan and the Minister of Agriculture to sort that out. I'm sure that's what they're doing. I don't think, you see, the point I'm trying to make then, I met a minister, Mr. Bulkan, and Dr. Norton, and we sit down. They take a relaxed time at a bar. They're having a relaxed time, right? 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're telling me, Bulkan told Mr. Bulkan said, he said, Joey, I ran a business, and I never imagined the amount of work that it took to be a minister. Never imagined it. Same thing with Dr. Norton. Same thing. bogged down. He take over from Barry Ramsram, who didn't do not much. Corruption all through the system. Right? So people have to sit on the side. In like America, when you take over a branch of something that has been functioning well for 40 and 50 and 60 years, no, sir, it isn't like that. You got a corrupted, bureaucratic, incohesive, ain't got no cohesiveness. You just said, people send an email. Where do you think those websites came from? It's from them who was there before, not the present government. You understand? So all those things have to be sorted out, and it takes time. I don't care what anybody says. And you know why I know all this? Because I was there. My father took over in 1992. And you think when Roy or Gail Teixeira walked in their ministry, they could affect any change? They didn't face a severe flooding then. They didn't face Venezuela trying to seize our land and threaten us. They didn't face an opposition that was saying they got cheated and they ain't cooperated. Mr. Hyde came into Parliament and cooperated with he was a loyal opposition. You understand what I'm saying? So Mr. Hyde ain't trying to raise a racial specter on racialism, we get cheated. He never did that. So those are the differences, so let's, and my father administration, a year after, well, how many changes they bring? Go and check. It was tough. Getting people acclimatized in the ministry, so come on. People got to be realistic.
Dr. Cheddi Jegan, on the same economic front, I remember I was in Guyana one time, a long time ago, when your father was president of Guyana. And for some reason, whatever, you can probably explain to our viewers, you were lying down on this road in Main Street by the Guyana Electricity Corporation protesting.
Right.
And your father was president.
Right.
So you had some principles in you. Never mind your father was president, you were dissatisfied, and you said it.
Right.
Like you're doing now. You're dissatisfied with what is happening in the PPP, and you campaign for the coalition. So you're a man, you're not only just talking, you're actually doing things to express what you believe in.
Right.
And your principles that you stand for. What is it that caused you to criticize the Guyana Electricity Corporation then, that caused you to that extent, really sensationalize your protest by lying down physically on the main street of Georgetown? And secondly, what is happening in terms of improving the electricity supply in Guyana to avoid the blackouts that we have, which is important for economic development, for the same industrialization you mentioned in our first part of this interview. We must have proper electricity.
Yes, you must have proper electricity.
So please, tell us what's...
Well, one of the reasons I lay down there is because they blew me out 3 times. And the last time was the worst. All my equipment was blown out, smoking, all my wires and my dental equipment. And I just had enough. And I went down there and I did what I had to do. And I had an interview after, and I explained it wasn't nothing anti-government. It's anti, as a consumer, I'm protesting what they do. What they're doing to people. And to this day, it's better. I mean, I will admit the electricity situation is better overall from those days. But still, it's weak. I mean, I'm sitting on the other day, and low voltage destroys your stuff. 10 years ago, I took back something called fiber optics, my handpieces in dentistry. It was here, I had it in Brooklyn for 2 years before that, working perfectly. I took it back within 3 months, it was destroyed. So what I'm saying is, all those things add up to, the retardation of our creation of wealth. As you just said, without proper electricity, you can't create wealth properly. You need cheap electricity.
So why don't we focus more on that? What is this current government, your new coalition government, doing to remedy that situation? This is something that I had asked the PPP presidential candidate right here in the studio, Elizabeth Harper. How do you intend to improve the electricity supply situation in Guyana?
Well, obviously, the way to improve, I can answer the question, I'm not an engineer, but the obvious way to make our electricity more dependable and cheaper is through hydro. It's obvious. The question now I think the new government is debating, which I understand, is whether we should go with one big hydro project which the PPP brought. The PPP is the ones who retarded hydropower in Guyana. We should have had hydropower. They've been in there 20 years. We should have had hydropower 10 years ago. Because if they'd have followed Cheddi Jegan talked about the Tiger Falls. He talked, and Mr. Burnham, they talk about smaller falls pooling into one larger. And we could do it. It's this government that came up with this. They like huge projects. Because
Which government? Which government?
The PPP government that was there. They like the huge projects because for some reason there's more money filtered off at the new project. Like Phip Motilal.
Kickbacks.
Look at him. Kickbacks. Look at him. He was building the road to the hydropower plant and it was faulty. And he skipped away at $15 million.
Are they going to find him? Is this new government?
Well, I would assume that. But you see again, so we are faced now with going with one huge hydropower as they propose. And that proposal, by the way, would wipe out 70 square miles of very fertile land in terms of minerals and wealth because you got to create a lake behind it. If you go with smaller hydro projects and link them, you don't have to create lakes behind them. It's straight from the river, like Tiger Falls. Got me? So I think the government is looking at that now because that's what Canada does. Canada has a bunch of different smaller hydro projects, and many countries doing that. And we could do that. We have many falls. On the Berbice, there's a 300-foot fall that people don't even know about. They could create electricity.
But don't you think the government should also look into the advancement in new technology?
Solar and wind.
Solar power.
Yeah, of course. No,
because
I think
now they're saying there's
that.
no need even for hydro. That the solar energy creation is even cheaper and faster and better.
Yeah, well, I'm
if you can trap the solar energy, and Guyana has a lot of sun.
Right.
We're by the equator. So you can trap that energy and store it and then distribute it around the place.
Well, listen, here, as I said, and I'll say it again, we got a new president, Mr. Granger, President Granger. And new presidents could surprise people. I'm reading a book right now about President Polk, who was president of America from 1844 to 1848. And a lot of people who look at this show might not even know that President Polk pledged one term when he started. One term, and he lived to one term. He spent, but he said he's in a hurry. And guess what? He got America, Oregon, California, and Texas. You think about America without Oregon, California, and Texas. And this we did, but people don't even know about the man. We accomplished a whole lot. So let's hope and pray. God bless him, that Mr. Granger does a lot more than Mr. Jagdeo did for us for 12 years. He didn't do nothing much. You understand?
He was walking, we saw him in the papers, walking in the flood a couple of days ago.
Well, that's all politics and his return to power. He wants to become president again. But my job and the other people in the coalition is to make sure that doesn't happen.
Dr. Cheddi Jegan, we can speak a little bit more on economic diplomacy. You seem to have that clear understanding as how it should benefit Guyana. What are some of the areas of economic diplomacy that we can use to benefit the industrialization? Because I think industrialization is lacking in Guyana, in your view.
Well, one of my view on that is that we have our future, in my opinion, lay in agriculture, food, the production of food. Food can always have money. And water. We got water resources we could sell in the world. Now, how do you produce food when you got a small population? You have to mechanize. That's why I believe in bringing agro-industry into Guyana. Bring agro. Bring in the big companies. You want to grow something, grow it. Bring in workers we can import workers to get our agro. We have good land. We have to utilize it to grow food. Fruits, vegetables, all kind of stuff we could export. We could become the breadbasket of the Caribbean and make a lot of money. Go in the marketplaces in Antigua and Anguilla and St. Vincent and all them little islands. There's nothing in the marketplace. They get most of the stuff from America and paying triple prices. We can resuscitate our whole cattle industry in the Rupununi and be selling meat all over the Caribbean. We could even sell meat to Europe in the fancy restaurants if we bring in the right cows and do the right crossbreeding. We have people who could build a cattle industry. A lot of people are unemployed in the Rupununi, Amerindian people and so. So there's a lot we could do. I mean, you know, we could industrialize all kind of stuff, bring in industry into Ghana and create jobs and better pay, and you know.
For example.
I really, I don't know, really. You might know more than that about me. I mean, what we have
Cereal,
minerals.
for example, we have the problem with rice.
Right.
We can produce a lot of rice, but from rice, we can make a lot of cereals
Right.
now, which people are talking all over the world about health food.
Right.
We have.
Well, this is what I was
we can
talking about,
grow
agro
organic
industry,
stuff.
right.
Yes, exactly that. And then all we have to do is to get the right machinery and equipment, but, then we have to get the electricity
Right.
to run those machinery and equipment. And maybe for now we can have some simple arrangements in order to get the electricity, battery operated or small generators or something, to allow this duty free to come into the country. If the government allows certain machinery and equipment which can be used for the industrialization of Guyana to come into the country duty free, we should make this more aware. Make the people more aware of these kinds of opportunities for investors to come, bring your equipment. If it's going to help us to industrialize,
Right.
you don't have to pay duty. But so far, probably they're working on it still. In terms of sugar, we don't need to just sell sugar. We can sell the byproducts of sugar. We already have rum and so on.
You could go to organic sugar.
Organic sugar, we can use the sugar to also make a lot of other food items for export. But then we have to get a technology in place, we have to get a machinery and equipment in place, and we have to tell investors to bring your machinery and equipment here, and it's going to be duty free.
Right.
And we're going to give you tax breaks or whatever else.
Well, I'm sure that Mr. Greenwich and Mr. Jordan will be looking at those things, because I've had conversation with them, and they're on that track. I'm sure of that. It isn't like you're dealing with the Ashley Singh and them guys. Them guys just want to hold it off for themselves, lock it off so they got control of everything. I think that this government is more business oriented, understand that the business sector needs leeway to do their own thing too, and develop itself. You understand? And make the private sector the real engine of growth.
Yeah, but then we need to get the communication line sorted out. Let's say if you want to invest, these are the telephone numbers you must contact.
Yeah, of course.
These are the email addresses. These are the people that you must communicate with.
Well, I think those things are being put in place.
I wanted to come to ITV or send me the information, and we can put it on ITV, send me an ad or something for us to put here. I've been trying to communicate with some people in Guyana in order to get a communication line going so that the diaspora can be better informed from official sources in Guyana as to some of the opportunities that exist and that they can take advantage of. But so far, I've not been...
Well, I understand your impatience, but sometimes you have to just wait a little bit, and I think that things are going to sort itself out. As I said, to be realistic, we had August coming up. I think to be realistic, we got to look at the end of the year as seeing things really sorting themselves out. Come on, I mean, if there was as a comeback, you know, I'm not here trying to make excuses of people, because I know they are hard at work. If I was making excuses, it would be because I know people are doing nothing much and slotting off. I know it's not true. They're working hard. And you got to give them some more time. I feel so, because of these things that have occurred. And things happening every day. There are things happening.
Yeah, things have always happened every day, but what kind of things? Now let's go back to tourism. Tourism is a very important aspect of the economy.
Right.
And so far, we are not seeing much being done to improve the opportunities that can attract tourists to go back to Guyana in large numbers. Are you aware of any development in the tourism industry in Guyana? We have a new Minister of Tourism. I understand they split the ministry now. Before it used to be Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. Now you have tourism separately and you have industry and commerce separately.
Right.
You have two different ministers. I understand the Ministry of Tourism or the Minister of Tourism doesn't even have a place to stay.
No,
Her office
is
is no longer there in South Road and Camp Street.
No, the office is still there, but she works...
she works out somewhere else.
She's working out of on Camp Street, out of I forget the name of the place, Colgreen House. I think this is what I heard. But I mean, it doesn't matter where she works. I mean, it matters the policy she want to put in. I think that the minister is concentrating first on trying to find ways to reduce the airfare to Ghana. That's one of the first things she's working on, from what I understand, and also getting things in line with the same things you're talking about. I mentioned her conversation I've had with her. I mentioned to her that there got aspects of tourism we should look at, like adventure tourism, where they have these people who want to just go and have danger in the tour. You know, go down rapids in a boat, climb mountains with snakes to the side. You know, the kind of thing. They have people like that, and
Yes.
that's a big business worldwide. Adventure tourism. So we gotta start looking at all these things.
Health tourism.
Yeah, well, health is another part. You got the tourists who want to go and just bird watch.
Yes.
You got to accommodate all,
Yes.
you know, and create new avenues of bringing people. I mean, you know, I wish we could have a jungle Disney there. Bring Disneyland again if we could. But, you know, that's probably a pipe dream. But, you know, we need things in Guyana to bring investment and trade and tourism. For example, if Guyana had a very powerful water park, like what's in Florida, some of the water parks they have there, it would attract people from Suriname, Venezuela, Trinidad to come to Guyana.
Yeah, they can come down the waterfalls.
Yeah, that's
Guyana
what I'm
has
saying.
more than 200,
Right.
more than 200
Right.
waterfalls. You
You
know
know,
that.
Guyana is a place that could be developers are very. Then you could have high-end tourism. You could have fancy places where people fly in just to gamble. You know, all kind of stuff could be done in a place like Guyana. So I guess they're working on those things. You know, she's new to it.
Well, let us wish them all the best
Yes.
and wish them success in their endeavors, their new endeavors,
Right.
and hope that things can come to fruition sooner than later.
Right.
So, Dr. Cheddi Jegan, once again, we want to thank you for coming to the program in St. Guyana.
Thanks.
And as is customary, I would like to ask you, sir, at this point in time on this interview, to look at our viewers in the eye and tell them exactly your message today.
Yeah.
July
Well,
19th, 2015.
Well, I just want to tell the people who are looking at this show, I want to thank Mr. Rudy, first of all, for having me in the show. It's been a pleasure, and he's a man that asks very good questions and interacts very good with the person he's interviewing. I want to give him high marks for that. You know, I just want to tell the people that I've been in this a long time. I grew up in this. I saw my father lose power in 1964. I lived through that. We had to pack up the same night and move out because that's the kind of guy my father was. He lost, and when the result came in that night, we had 2 months to move out, but he moved the same night. I had to live in a house where people were passing in Camp Street. We had nowhere to live. He didn't own his own house, unlike Mr. Jagdeo. He didn't have a mansion, unlike Mr. Jagdeo. He didn't have all the bank accounts and all the fancy cars, unlike Mr. Roy and Mr. Jagdeo, Mr. Ramatar. He didn't have those things. And we had to go and live there and face abuse of people riding past on Camp Street, hurling abuse at us. It wasn't easy to lose power. It wasn't easy. And it was great to win power back in 1992. And I lived through all them things. I was right there and I saw it, what happened and what transpired. And that is why I know in my heart that Mr. Granger and his team, including Mr. Moses, Mr. Camraj, and particularly Mr. Rupert Ryan, are committed to the betterment of the people of Guyana. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever about that. After facing and understanding the people who ruled Guyana after my father died, they were out on power, 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 wealth, wealth, wealth. They don't care who the bottom have nothing once they have. Even the middle party men in the PPP had nothing and nothing to get. But it's a different day now. It's a different time. Because we in charge now, a different breed. People might say, Mr. Granger, damn, how come you ain't got with the young people? They're coming. They're damn bored. So don't worry. But this is the beginning of a new era, an era of coalition politics that they in the PPP don't want. Jegan wanted that, but not them. So I ask you, the public, to please be patient. That's all we asking for. We ain't telling you that in 2 years we can get answers. We just tell you up to Christmas. This is me. This is not the government. The government never said that. Maybe the government will rush up the relay and fulfill their pledges within 30 days. And I hope they do, and I applaud them if they do. But I'm just saying, as practical people, we must give them a longer period to accomplish the 100-day pledges they made and other pledges they have to be considered. So I just want to thank you for looking at the show. And again, God bless America and God bless Guyana. And let us hope, as we talked about economic diplomacy, because my economic diplomacy that I always believe in is to have the tightest bonds economically with America and North America. That is what I believe. That is what will carry us forward. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the year. Thank you.
You've just heard from the one and only Dr. Cheddi Jegan, our guest in today's program, Inside Guyana. Thank you for watching. On behalf of our camera crew, led by Ravi and our producer, Prakash, and the management and staff of ITV, I want to say until next time, this is yours truly, Dr. Rudy Jadapat, wishing you all the best. Thank you.